Welcome in, everybody. Today's deep dive, well, we're taking a look at Smita Patil.
Ooh, interesting.
And she's not just another Bollywood star. I mean, Smita Patil's life and work, they really had this ripple effect, not just in Indian cinema, but like within society itself. We've got this biography.
Yeah.
And it reads like, honestly, a gripping novel. You get these like intimate glimpses into her personal life, the career choices that she made, and like the impact she had on everyone around her.
I can imagine.
It's crazy to think that she did so much in just a little over a decade, you know?
Yeah, it's tragic that it was cut short.
Totally.
But this deep dive, I think, what we want to do is look at how she built this legacy that most artists only dream of.
Totally. So where do we even start?
Well, she was born in 1955 in Pune.
Okay.
And right from the beginning, she was surrounded by social activism. Her father was a politician, and her mother was a social worker and a nurse. So almost like from the start, she was exposed to these social issues, you know, and you can see how that planted the seeds for her own activism later on.
That's so interesting. It really foreshadows like her whole path. And then you layer on her childhood involvement in the performing arts, studying literature, and even just spending time at the Film and Television Institute of India, you know,
Right.
absorbing everything she could about film, even without formally enrolling.
Wow.
Okay, but here's a curveball. Before all that, she was a television newsreader.
What? Seriously? That's amazing.
Isn't that wild? The future icon of Indian cinema, just, you know, calmly delivering the news.
Wow. Talk about range.
That's right. It makes you think, like, did that experience in front of the camera, even in a totally different context,
Yeah.
did that help prepare her?
Who knows? But it's so interesting.
So how does she go from newsreader to, like, the silver screen?
Well, that's where Shyam Benegal comes in. He's a leading figure in the parallel cinema movement. And this wasn't your typical Bollywood, you know.
Okay, yeah, tell me more about that.
Well, these films were all about realism, and they were tackling these like serious social issues head on. And he saw something special in Smita, so he casts her in his 1974 film, Charanda's Chore.
Charanda's Chore.
Okay.
It was actually a children's film,
Oh, wow.
but it got her noticed. But the film that really put her on the map, that was Manthan in 1976.
Okay, so tell me more about Manthan.
Okay, so Manthan, she played a Harijan woman.
Oh, wow. And Harijan, just for, you know, anyone listening.
Yeah, good point.
That's a term for people who were formerly considered like untouchable.
Right.
They face this deep social stigma. And in the film, she's leading this revolt for fairer treatment in a milk cooperative,
Right.
powerful role, especially for a young actress.
For sure. And I think it really solidified that commitment,
Yeah,
you know, to portraying these complex women.
Strong, complex women.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Women who are challenging the norms.
Yeah. And then just a year later, 1977, she wins her first National Film Award for Best Actress for Bhumika.
I know, only 22 years old. It's crazy. And it's almost like life was imitating art. Because in Bhumika, she plays an actress who's like dealing with fame and relationships, you know, kind of mirroring her own experiences later.
For sure.
And in the same year, she attends the Cannes Film Festival with Nishant, gaining international recognition.
It's like her rise was incredible.
So it's like a rocket ship.
But you know what's even more interesting? She balanced this parallel cinema with mainstream Bollywood.
Okay, we explain that a little bit. So we have parallel cinema, which is like realism, social commentary, and then you have commercial Bollywood, you know, song and dance.
Yeah.
How did she do both?
So in the early 80s, she starts taking on these commercial roles. And, you know, you mentioned Shakti
Right.
with Amitabh Bachchan.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always a comfortable fit. Like, we know from her sister that she actually had conflicting feelings about some of the stuff in commercial cinema, which is so interesting.
That is fascinating. It's almost like she's trying to bridge this gap between the two worlds, bringing something new to those commercial films.
Totally. And let's not forget her second National Film Award in 1981 for Chakra.
Yeah, Chakra. Tell me about that one.
So she plays a slum dweller, and she actually lived in the slums to prepare.
Oh my gosh. That's commitment.
That's method acting taken to a whole new level.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's important to remember, right? She wasn't just an actress.
Yeah.
She was an active feminist.
Member of the Women's Center in Mumbai.
It wasn't just for show either.
No, she really lived her values.
Yeah. And, you know, her personal life, particularly her relationship with Raj Babar,
Oh, yeah.
that kind of became this, like, flashpoint, right?
Sure.
He left his wife to be with her.
A lot of media attention, a lot of public criticism.
I mean, it was a different time. Societal expectations were different. It's interesting to think about how that all played into the public's reaction. Sadly, her life was cut way too short at 31.
Yeah, 1986.
Complications after giving birth to her son, Pratik Babar.
And the allegations of medical negligence just add this, like, whole other layer of tragedy.
Well, you wonder how different things could have been.
Absolutely. It's hard not to think about that.
But even in such a short time, she left such a mark.
Oh, yeah, a huge mark.
I mean, her son, Pratik, he followed in her footsteps, became an actor.
Right, and he even added her surname to his own just last year, which is pretty amazing.
Wow, that's a powerful statement about her legacy. And, it's clear Smita Patil's legacy goes way beyond the screen.
For sure.
She was a pioneer. I mean, she bridged that gap between parallel cinema and commercial cinema without compromising her artistic integrity.
It's so rare.
So rare, so inspiring.
Well, it really makes you think, what other figures, not just in film, but in any field, really embody that same spirit,
It's a great question. But I think before we go any further, to really understand Smita Patil, you have to see her work.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, her performances, they're just mesmerizing. They give you this window into her life, and you can feel the passion.
Her films are a must-see for anyone who wants to really get her,
So I'm urging everyone listening, check out her films. I promise you won't regret it. Now let's dig a little deeper and see what else we can learn about the woman behind the legend.
Her dedication, both to her craft and her beliefs, it really comes through in everything she did.
It wasn't just about, entertainment.
No, not at all.
She was using her platform to shed light on those social issues.
Especially the complexities of women's lives in Indian society.
Right. And she took on these roles that, honestly, a lot of actresses at that time wouldn't even touch.
I can imagine.
Like Bhumika.
Yeah, Bhumika is a great example.
Where she plays this actress who's, grappling with societal expectations.
Right.
And, her own desires.
It's a story that's still relevant today,
Totally.
Women are still navigating those same challenges.
And then there's Chakra.
Which
just throws you into the reality of poverty and injustice.
No kidding. And remember, she actually lived in the slums to prepare.
Yeah, she wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty, literally and figuratively.
Exactly.
Can you imagine the impact that must have had on her performance?
Oh, absolutely.
And how audiences connected with that character.
Totally. That authenticity.
There's this, rawness. You can't fake that.
No way.
And that commitment to realism, I think that's a big part of why her performances are still so powerful today.
Makes sense.
You can, feel it.
Yeah, you can feel that dedication.
Yeah. But her legacy, it goes beyond just her acting, right?
Oh, for sure.
She impacted Indian cinema as a whole.
Totally. Bridging that gap between parallel and commercial cinema.
It's almost like she took those two worlds
and
found a way to make them coexist,
I mean, it's pretty mind-boggling when you think about it. You've got parallel cinema, all about realism, social commentary,
right.
Often smaller budgets, maybe a niche audience.
Right.
And then you have commercial Bollywood with the song and dance,
spectacle,
larger-than-life characters, massive audience appeal.
And she navigated both of those.
Seamlessly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Starring in critically acclaimed films like Manthan, Bhumika.
Yeah.
But also appearing in those blockbusters like Shakti.
Right, with the Amitabh Bachchan.
And she didn't just, phone it in for those commercial roles, you know what I mean?
No, totally.
She brought something to them.
Yeah. That depth, the nuance,
Totally. It's like she was challenging this whole idea that you had to choose one path or the other, art or commerce.
Exactly.
She proved that you could be critically acclaimed, ADD, commercially successful, without compromising your values.
It's pretty amazing.
It's huge, especially for, young artists today.
Absolutely.
Trying to figure out their path.
Yeah, she showed them it's possible to reach a wider audience with films that have something important to say.
Right. It's like she opened up this whole new world.
Totally. And, don't forget, she was also a vocal feminist.
Yes, an activist too.
Using her platform to advocate for women's rights.
And social justice.
And she didn't just talk the talk, remember?
No, she walked the walk.
Donating her award winnings, involved in all sorts of organizations.
She was a true example of someone who used her influence.
For good.
To make a difference in the world.
It really makes you think about your own work.
Right, and what kind of impact we can have.
Absolutely.
Sadly, she didn't have a lot of time, but her legacy continues.
Oh, yeah. Inspiring people all over the world.
She accomplished so much in such a short time. It makes you wonder what more she could have done,
It's hard not to think about that.
But her spirit lives on through her films
Totally, her activism.
and all the lives she touched.
She was a true icon, but there was so much more to her than that.
Oh, yeah.
This personal side that we haven't even really touched on yet.
There's always more to uncover, right?
Always.
Those little details that give you a deeper understanding of the person, it's kind of wild to think that someone like Smita, who had all this success, became this, symbol of strength, actually faced some real resistance early on.
It's true. You'd think someone with her talent and, her presence, she'd just sail right in.
Right?
But her beauty, her acting style, the things that made her an icon, they were actually seen as drawbacks at first.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't fit that conventional Bollywood mold.
I wonder what those critics thought later on, huh?
Right. When she's winning national awards and, captivating audiences worldwide.
I guess it just goes to show you sometimes it's the people who break the mold, right?
Totally. And it wasn't just about her looks, She was so versatile with her roles.
Oh, yeah.
Like in those early films, she wasn't even a native Marathi speaker.
Oh, wow.
But she learned it fluently to play those characters authentically.
That's incredible. There's that commitment again to her craft.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just a job for her,
No, not at all.
It was about becoming that person.
And you can feel that in her performances.
I think that's why they're still so powerful, Decades later.
Totally. You really feel the dedication, the passion.
Yeah. And then off screen, there are all these stories about, her warmth and generosity.
Yeah, she was known for helping struggling actors,
Wow.
Giving guidance and support. And her work with charities. Extensive.
It sounds like she never let fame go to her head.
It's true. She stayed grounded.
And, we have to talk about her relationship with Raj Babbar.
Yeah, that was a huge scandal.
Him leaving his wife for Smita, she faced a lot of backlash.
It was a different time, totally different expectations.
But she lived her truth, even when it meant going against the grain.
It definitely sparked a lot of conversation.
About societal norms. Yeah.
And it makes you think about how women, especially those in the public eye, are held to such different standards.
It's a conversation we're still having today.
It's true. But it's a reminder that icons are human, They
make mistakes. They make unconventional choices.
And Smita certainly did that.
Absolutely. But despite all that, she accomplished so much.
In such a short time, it's incredible.
Amazing actress, passionate about social justice.
A true pioneer for women in Indian cinema.
She broke barriers, pushed boundaries, and inspired so many with her talent and courage.
It's hard to believe it's been over 30 years since she passed.
But her work, her message, it feels so relevant today.
Totally. Her legacy transcends time.
Smita Patil was more than just a Bollywood star.
Absolutely. She left a mark on Indian cinema and society that we're still feeling today.
This has just been a glimpse into her life. But hopefully you've gotten a sense of what made her so extraordinary.
She was one of a kind.
And I hope this inspires you to explore her films and learn more about her story.
I think everyone should.
That wraps up our deep dive into the life of Smita Patil. Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating exploration.
Until then.
Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep exploring.